with utmost pride, now it's time to introduce our next session. Welcome to the most awaited session of the day, the keynote session of the NASSCOM MarTech Summit 2022, the alphabet soup of marketing. Brace yourselves, we have none other than the father of modern marketing, Dr. Philip Kotler, with us. Professor Dr. Kotler doesn't need any kind of introduction. He has authored over 80 books, including Marketing Management, Principles of Marketing, Kotler on Marketing, Marketing Insights from A to Z, Marketing 4.0, and many such more. His books are worshipped by students and professionals in the sales and marketing fraternity. So without further ado, I would request Dr. Kotler to take over. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm very excited about conferences that take place with NASSCOM's sponsorship. I looked at some of the wonderful topics that you're also talking about. The whole idea is marketing is, of course, a science and an art, and the scientific part has to be furthered by developing better analytics and so on. As you can see from my first slide, I've been very busy with new books because my thoughts always keep growing. The Marketing 5.0 tried to bring an understanding to companies and their marketers of the latest developments, and where you didn't have to go back to a 500-page textbook. You wanted to know what happened in the last 2 years or so that are new themes in marketing. And the H2H book that I just finished has to do with human-to-human marketing. And it introduces a basic course in marketing, but with a lot of new, 3 very important things that have been neglected in our textbooks. And the whole idea of everyone in marketing is a person dealing with another person, and humanity ought to be transmitted between them. And then brand activism is a new view of not only how to create a brand that tells what your product is about, but actually takes up a purpose and shows that you have a higher purpose as a company because you're really wanting to make the world a better place. But let me go to the topic you assigned to me. I found it very interesting. It's called Rethinking the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps, of course, being product, price, place, and promotion. And I call this the alphabet soup of marketing. So let me start. First, let's start with the concept of the marketing mix, because the 4 Ps are the marketing mix of the marketing discipline. So the marketing mix is a set of marketing tools and tactics used to promote and sell a product and a service, to position the product to the right consumer at the right place, at the right time, right price, and all that. Okay, the concept was first taken up by Neil Borden, a professor at the Harvard Business School. And believe it or not, he didn't have 4 Ps. He said there are at least 12 elements under the control of the marketing department that they will mix. They'll mix those 12 elements, they'll blend the 12 elements, and they can then succeed in selling their products. Well, I've listed the 12 elements: product planning, pricing, branding, and you can see the list. Now, it's hard to carry around a whole list and to be a respected science. It's a more respected science when there's from 4 to 7 elements that you can really match and deal with. So what had happened is the appearance of 4 elements instead of 12 elements. Now, the 4 has a history. I teach at Northwestern University and in the Graduate School of Management. And when I started there, we had Professor Cluett, Dick Cluett, and he would always lecture his class on the following: product, price, distribution, and promotion. It has a nice rhythm. One of his students was, for a PhD, was Jerry McCarthy. And Jerry and I met actually in 1956 or 7, and in a Ford Foundation program. And Jerry started to write a textbook during this program, which he called Basic Marketing. And he just changed one word. Instead of the word distribution, he used the word price. The place, because it had more rhythm: product, price, place, promotion. So, and Jerry talked about those 4 elements. And then when I wrote my book on marketing management, I used the same 4 Ps. I expanded and went more deeply into each of the Ps and so on. But the fact is that Jerry was that Cluett was the one who had the rhythm: product, price, distribution, and promotion. And Jerry just changed distribution into place, and then I expanded on it. But people would raise a question: if there are only 4 Ps, what about some other tools? What about packaging? I mean, a perfume company, one doesn't know the perfumes as much as the bottle. It could be a very good looking bottle. The packaging. What about personal selling? We don't see that there. What about people, especially in service industries? When you go and get a haircut, you're going to have a barber, and there's going to be an interaction. And what about passion? So other P's started to come up that seemed to be missing. And that was taken care of by an interesting article that said, you know, we talk always about products, physical products, but what about intangible services? The service industry, you know, just an airplane, flying on an airplane. You're buying a ticket, getting a haircut. So in that research work, 3 new Ps popped up, mainly for the marketing of services. Define who the people are, because they make a difference whether that barber gives a good haircut or a bad haircut. Define the process of getting a haircut, and then define what you get. How can you show that you actually had a haircut to someone else? What's the physical evidence? Well, maybe it's the price you paid, the receipt you have showing that you paid, $40 for a haircut. Okay, so that made us move from 4 Ps to 7 Ps when you include the service industries. So let's move on. Now, other disciplinary marketers wanted to see if there'd be another approach. One of them was Robert Latterborn, and he said, you know, we might lose sight of the customer with Ps. Can we turn the 4 Ps into the 4 Cs? So instead of saying, here's our product, you say, we're concentrating on the consumer. And instead of saying, here's the price, you say, this is the cost of the thing we're offering. Instead of the place is all about convenience. Have you made the place convenient? And then is your promotion communicating very well? So he thought he could get along with the 4 Cs instead of the 4 Ps. And some people and some companies, when they start doing their marketing planning, it's helpful to think again, who's our customer? What costs can that customer absorb? How to make it convenient to the customer, and how to message to the customer. Okay, now someone else came along, and he's a very top professor, Professor Jagdish Sheth, a very good friend of mine. And he says, you know, before you do the 4 Ps or the 4 Cs, you should do the 4 As. I mean, after the 4 A's say that you have a genuine offer to make, then decide on the product mix. For example, have you created enough awareness? Can you create enough awareness of this product offer? Is this product offer affordable? If it's not affordable, it's going to fail. Can you make it accessible? Will it be easy to obtain the product or service? And finally, will the consumer find it an acceptable transaction. In other words, given the price and the quality and so on, that it's acceptable. So Jack DeSheth is absolutely right that the first consideration in marketing planning is to establish the 4 A's before you do the 4 P's, which are the tools to reach the customer. Okay, now others have taken the same question of other frameworks. One of them said, well, there's really the 4 R's of a customer. Is the customer receptive, ready, resource-driven, and handling the risk? The 4 R's. Try it out. See if that works better. And someone else would say the 4 P's of a company are not product, price, place, and promotion, but are people, processes, programs, and performances. And some people say, but let's remember the whole alphabet. Should be C's. About the big picture aspects are the company, the customers, the collaborators working with the company, and the competitors, the 4 C's. Now you know why I call this talk the alphabet soup of marketing. So I'm going to end with a very important point. And it's a way to look more holistically at the major tenets of modern marketing. Of course, the first tenet is that successful companies are companies that are buyer needs centered. It's not that you sell a car, you're selling a chance for someone to get a vehicle that they can move around with and carry out their needed activities. So always define your customer very carefully, the need of the customer very carefully. And then it will help to use the 4 A's to see if that market really exists and you can create it, making people aware and accessible, the 4 A's. And then you use in your planning the 4 P's, all in the context of the 4 C's, the company, the customers, the collaborators, and the 4 C's and the company. So let's add one more concept. Let's call it segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Now that's a very important trilogy, those 3, because in the action arena of going to make a product offer, you got to segment the market carefully, find which target market you really can serve better than any other competitor. And you can position your offer as different and better than all the other competitors. So the whole marketing process is now a set of steps that can be defined very, very carefully. It starts with one thing, marketing research. In other words, you don't go blindly into a new market. You notice something, you're going to study it, and you're going to find out if there's a real opportunity. So then if you think it looks good, you're going to do more segmentation. You want to find the parts of the market that are in real need for what you have, and you're going to target and position those specific market segments. So that's STP. So you have really found a TM, a target market. Let's stay with one of the target markets. I'll give you an example. Let's take McDonald's. Let's say McDonald's would like to attract more teenagers to come into McDonald's. So that's the target market. And the way you appeal to teenagers is different than if you had defined the target market of McDonald's to be senior citizens. They're very different. So your whole product mix, your whole 4P mix would be different in trying to reach seniors as opposed to teenagers. But you define that. And then for that, let's stay with teenagers. The next step is to define the value proposition. What will your message say that it can promise to the teenagers about a trip to McDonald's? What will the teenager, what will be added to the teenager's life and satisfaction and happiness if he chooses McDonald's rather than one of its competitors? Okay, so that's the value proposition you're offering to the market, to the teenagers. And that's what you build into MP, the marketing plan. And you don't stop there. The plan will just be a piece of paper sitting on a desk. You got to implement the steps. You got to trigger the sales force and the advertising, all the elements like that. And after you implement, you must collect statistics to control the output, to refine the output, to make sure that you are reaching your profit goals. Okay, now the main thing is to use that process backwards after you've done the implementation. Let's say you're disappointed in sales. You thought they would be much higher. Go back. Did you do poor implementation? There's a problem that you did not incentivize the sales force with enough gain on their own to really push hard to sell the product. Now, if you find out that no, the implementation was very good, maybe the fault lied in your marketing plan. You didn't spend enough on advertising, or you priced the product too high. You ask those questions. Now, if none of those seem to be at fault, maybe the value proposition wasn't engaging enough. I mean, these are teenagers, and it didn't trigger any particular reason to go to McDonald's. You need a stronger value proposition. Maybe you're going after the wrong target market. Maybe, in fact, teenagers it's not cool to go to McDonald's. It's cooler to go to some newer type of fast food restaurant. So it's the wrong target market. Maybe you did poor segmentation. You didn't find the best market for yourself within that larger market to go after. Maybe fundamentally you did very poor marketing research. So do you see where the marketing process, having a sense of it, contains not only the 4 Ps and all the A's and C's that you could have thought of in doing your plan, but it has the process and the things that would have counted in being successful. So I'm going to stop there, because this is a good summary of the major tenets of modern marketing. Now, someone may come along who writes a 800-page new textbook on marketing with an entirely new approach to marketing in the digital age. We would welcome that if the discipline gets stronger. In my own book, Marketing Management and Principles of Marketing, I've always brought in the digital world, because I think having these new important institutions like Facebook and Instagram, Google, and all that is making our world a digital world. And so marketing has to be revised and upgraded from the analog world to the digital world. And that is going to make a very big difference. And then take into account all the new challenges, which we mean by that new technologies, we mean by that COVID and pandemics, and the whole need to get companies to care about sustainability, because the planet can be at risk if we start overproducing and not accounting for the carbons that we are creating with every transaction and every movement of our body. So a lot of challenges, but marketing remains a very exciting discipline for all of us engaged in it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very, very much for doing this for us. Thank you for accepting our request to speak at NASCOM MarTech Summit 2022. Insights for your session will certainly inspire our delegates. On behalf of NASSCOM and India's tech ecosystem, we express our sincere gratitude. Thank you very, very much for doing this.
Pooja, thank you very much too. I enjoyed doing it.
All right, before we move ahead, we would want to inform our audience that there is a parallel channel on Sales Tech Track opening right after this. So don't forget to tune in to the Sales Track.